returning watcher or subscriber. Haha, sucker. Today we're back with another nostalgia related Sims build. We're recreating the tiny home from The Sims 2 in The Sims 4. So, I loved recreating this home. I actually took the time to take screenshots from the Sims 2 game and compare the grid layout so that it could be as accurate as possible. The back wall was like 16 tiles long, and then the front was 10, and the sides were 8. Then I got the genius idea, why not try to fit the actual parameters of a tiny home in The Sims 4 since we have that ability. So I started to adjust the sizes to make sure that I could do that. In the end, we don't actually end up making a tiny home. I mean, technically the house itself is tiny, but I decided to add an in-ground pool into like a porch in the back. And that really took away the tiny home because obviously it started saying that we had the extra tiles, so it no longer was a tiny home. But the actual living space is tiny. I mean, it's like 96 or 95 tiles out of 100. So we did get a living space of a tiny home. As per usual, you're going to watch me struggle with the roof because I always struggle with the sinking roofs on builds. One thing that I miss about The Sims 2 is the gameplay aspect of it and also the auto roofing tool. However, with the things that we can build nowadays in The Sims 4, I don't know that the auto roofing tool would even like work that well. It would probably look like a nightmare. But there's some builds that I wish I could auto roof. Like those shell challenges would be so much easier if we could auto roof and then just deal with whatever the game decided was the best option for roofing. As far as the window placement goes for this house, I tried to line them up as best as I could with the actual window placement of the home in the Sims 2 game. But again, just because of the layout that we ended up having to do, I kind of had to make it a little bit different. Otherwise, it wasn't going to fit the tiles because the tiny home in the Sims game for the Sims 2 versus the Sims 4 actually had more tiles to it. So I ended up having to kind of like rearrange it a little bit to make the tiles work. I really like the backyard and how the backyard turns out in the end. And honestly, the landscaping that I end up doing for this house is probably my favorite that I've done for a house in I don't even know how long. The original home comes with a driveway, as you know, The Sims 2 had cars. We obviously don't. So the driveway is just kind of like the gravel terrain paint, and then I use the show object or show hidden objects in the live mode cheat code to be able to add a car to the lot. So if you download it from the gallery, it's not custom content. It just is the car that you can find in the regular like hidden objects, or I think it is hidden objects. This ends up being a two-bedroom. It has a bedroom for the parents and then a bedroom for the little boy. I changed it up a little bit. I've been doing a lot of bedrooms for girls when I've been building, and I wanted to do something a little bit different. When I went into create a sim to make a family to move in here, because I usually always make a sim family that fits what I was imagining, I actually ended up making a lesbian couple who had a son. And they were just so cute. I randomized everything, but they were really cute. And it was weird how they aesthetically being randomized in Create a Sim really matched the house and the vibe for it. It's very colorful, it's quaint. I think it's like eclectic almost. It just looks, I don't know, homey and lived in and fun. And I love it. So one of the things that I had to change for this kitchen is originally it was 4 tiles wide and I had to make it 3. So I had to add like a little like L shape to it so we'd be able to have a stove in there and the fridge and everything. And then I kind of played around with the cabinets and went for something that matched. I thought about doing a mismatch thing, and I really struggled with these cabinets for some reason. Like the game where they what game was putting them at seemed really high. But then I remember that the wall height was like the middle wall height, so it was higher. Thought I was gonna do something creative with those triangle like corner cabinets on that wall, and then I was like, nah, that doesn't work. But I do like that I added the little seating area of the bar, so they had extra seating. This house is play tested. Every sim was able to move around okay. They were able to get outside and through the house, so it works out just fine. I don't feel like there's a lot of CC in this. I do know that the siding I used was CC because I couldn't find like a pure stark white for the outside like it was originally in The Sims 2, and it really bothered me. I wanted it that stark white color, and we just didn't have a swatch that really matched it. So I put in like a record player because I really want a record player. So I'm living vicariously through my Sims. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with getting a record player currently, but I want one so stinking bad. So does my boyfriend. So he's like a bad influence because we were at FYE, which they just came back with, and there were record players everywhere. I wanted one so bad, but I kept telling myself like, Christmas is coming up. Christmas is coming up. Maybe we can get one for Christmas. So I put this little like entryway table here, but then I got the genius idea. Oh my gosh, why don't we put the record player in the entryway and put all the stuff on top of that? And so that's what I end up doing. I switch it around here in a little bit. I just decided that I wanted there to be more room for the kid to have stuff that could like kind of fill up the living room a little bit and be like, kidified and stuff. And let's be real, kids never keep their stuff where you want them to. They never keep their stuff in their rooms. It's always everywhere. And I wanted it to have that very lived in feel. I feel like this house would have worked really well for the new clutter kit, but I obviously didn't want to wait for that to come out as I hadn't created a Sims video for a little bit for this channel. And I was finally feeling well enough that I wanted to go ahead and create something while I had the inspiration and the energy. Illness has been going back and forth around my household, and it seems like as soon as one of us gets better, another one of us gets sick. My poor mom, has never been sick, like, honestly, in my adult life that I can remember, aside from like maybe once or twice. And she has been sick the last like 3 weeks off and on. Like she just either had the flu and then she had a cold. It's never been COVID, thank goodness. But I just feel so bad for my mom because she just doesn't get sick. So hearing her sick is really different. So, like I said, you saw me switch the side table and the record player. The pictures do cut into it a little bit. I couldn't get them perfect, but I do like how it looks, even with them kind of sinking into it. I still think it looks really cute, and I enjoy how it looks. So I'm gonna keep it that way. Trying to figure out how to get the layout of the kids' room because it is so awkward and small, and I wanted to fit like a little study area desk in there. And I did something that I haven't done in a build in The Sims 4, I think like ever, honestly. I used to make these like checkered floors in The Sims 2, so I decided to like kind of kick it old school and make a checkered floor for the bedroom. Then I really tried to find things that I could put in here to make it look like, he spent time in here and it wasn't just like thrown together. So it does look cluttered, and I add a couple of like clothes to the floor too. I thought about making the backyard like kind of like the cool hangout place, and it does turn out cool because there isn't like a pool with a deck and everything, which takes up a good chunk of the backyard. Backyard actually has a lot of space, but that porch that I put in really takes up a good chunk of it. Still though, I mean it's cute though. I like how it looks. I wish I had an in-ground pool when I was, younger. It's not technically in ground because it's in a deck, but it's like not out exposed. I don't know what to call it, like an in deck pool, I guess maybe is a good word for it. So here we are trying to figure out the lighting situation. I feel like we don't have enough lighting options, honestly, in the game. That is probably like one thing that I think in building we don't have enough. The saucer lights work out incredibly well. However, all the hanging ones are either like really long or they're just like too ostentatious and they don't fit like tiny homes. But like we had like hanging lights in my home with fans and stuff, so I don't know. Seems kind of weird. I tried something a little bit new and I did use debug mode for more of the landscaping stuff. And I used this like, honestly, I don't even know what it is. I think it was maybe like a golf thing, but I used that as almost like a ledge for the garden. And I really like how it turned out. I think it turns out so cute. And then I use these stepping stones, which again, like I never do things like that. I mean, this is new to me trying out, but I've been watching some YouTubers who do speed builds, who utilize the tool mod, who utilize debug mode, and honestly, it just adds so much to the builds. And I'm so glad that I did it. I wish we had more cars for the debug. I mean, even though we can't drive them, it seems silly. There was either like the two-seater option or there was this like funky looking like mini car. And I was like, well, they have a kid, so it would be weird to have a two-seater car there. Like, that's not very family functional. But I guess if you have a child and, you're not really going a lot of places as a family, then it wouldn't be too bad. But and then I use this like debug fence too to do the side of the house, and I really like how it turned out. But those weren't lining up, so I ended up using like a little piece to kind of connect them. And I just think that this is so creative, and I love the chance to be able to rebuild something from the Sims 2 game because I love that game. That was like my introduction into gaming in general. It was my introduction into storytelling too. That's actually how I got into writing. And I remember I would come up with these like intense stories and posts online and on like the Sims 2 website and had like followers and stuff like that. And I think I actually have like I don't know if I still have friends who used to read it or not. I don't know. It's interesting though to think about. Like there's some people that I'm friends with on Facebook that I met on like various websites from when I was younger. And it's crazy that like we met online and we shouldn't have shared information like that, but we did. So originally in the backyard, I decided that I wanted to build a like sand box. Almost called it a sand pit, but I wanted to build a sandbox, and so I do that. I build the sandbox, and then pretty much like 5 minutes later after building it, I decide, I don't want a sandbox. I think I actually want a pool. Because I was gonna put a pool beside it, and then it looked too cluttered, and I decided that it just wouldn't fit right in the backyard. So instead, I put a giant freaking deck with a pool in it, and that obviously just took up way less space in my brain. But I think it was just more, I guess, I don't know, just it fit better with the house and the vibes that I was getting, especially because like the kid is a little bit bigger. Like he's almost too big to really be interested in a sandbox, but a pool makes him the cool kid at school. Like everybody wants to be over at the house that has a pool. We had a pool growing up, but we had well water and we lived out in the country, so it was freezing. It was always so cold. And it didn't heat up until like basically it was time to be done swimming for the year. And like I mean it was cool to have a pool, but like I don't know, it wasn't as fun because it was super cold. We would get in and our lips would seriously be like about blue and we'd be like, no, it's fine, we're not cold, it's okay. And now I walk into a pool and if that thing is not heated, I walk right back out and I'm like, I'm not swimming. I can't I can't do cold. I don't know what happened to me, like where I lost that ability to be able to do cold, but it's intense. Like the cold water is intense now. Like I just can't do it anymore. So here I am building that pool into that deck, and I wish that I want a pool like this. I would take a built-in pool to a deck, and I ended up having to erase the fencing around it. And it gets kind of wonky because I couldn't connect like any fencing to it afterwards. I was gonna do a cool little like angled pool thing, but then I just gave up because I was getting annoyed that it wasn't working the way I wanted it to. In real life, I ideally would not have a tree next to a pool because I just know that's going to be a pain in the butt when those leaves start to fall. But since it's a simulation, I decided to let go of that part of realism and just think, okay, it's all right. The Sims will automatically take care of it. I went pretty basic for the parents' bedroom. Honestly, I think I was just kind of like running out of steam. Like I said, I've been really tired. I've been sick too. And it was about all I could do to sit down and like actually build. I had done it a couple times trying to, and then just like didn't. I'd load up the game and be too tired. So we're going to go into the screenshot so that you can see how it looks. And here we have the screenshot so you can see the final product of the wonderful recreation of the Sims 2 tiny home made into the Sims 4. I love this house. I think it's so quaint. I really have become obsessed with like little tiny houses instead of the big like McMansions because it just feels more lived in, like more realistic. And you can see the Sims in the background swimming, and it's so cute. Those are the Sims that I made for the house. This is going to be available on the gallery, and I will put the gallery here in a little tag for you. You can also follow me on Instagram at brindletonbay.jpg. I've been getting like quite a few followers on there, which is great because I haven't posted in a hot minute, but hopefully you'll see some screenshots of this and some more posts coming up. Uh, and then I will talk to you all very soon. I have a new Let's Play coming for a new game that I'm going to be playing. Not Sims related. The Sims content will continue, I promise. Until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful Saturday.